you ready? It's the Roundtable with me, Robert Bannon. Welcome to the Roundtable, everybody. My name is Robert Bannon. You're listening to us on Broadway World over here on the Broadway Podcast Network, iHeart, and Spotify. I'm from New Jersey. Okay, I grew up 15 minutes from Hoboken, and I'm sure lots of the story that you're going to hear about, I'm sure this has probably happened in Hoboken, because I read the premise of this show and I instantly was like, why don't I have a ticket? We need to see this show. Everybody needs to see this show. This show is a trip. The OGGs in Hoboken is coming to the other side of Silence Theater, which we love them so much because they're the longest LGBT theater. Like, they're in a theater company that we all need to really support. And this is their fundraised reading that you need to get a ticket to. I'm very excited to talk all about it. It's November 10th and the 11th. The 11th has an after party at the Cell on 23rd Street. And you need to know all about what you're about to get into. How did they come up? Barry, how did you come up with this story? Barry Boehm and Mark Finley are here and they're going to tell us all about it. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Robert.
Hey, Robert.
Barry,
thanks for having us.
Thank you for being here. Mark, if you don't mind, I need to find out how Barry, how do you describe what this show is about? And if it's from your own personal experience, I want to know everything.
Well, it is funny. Now, everybody that I talk to assumed that I live in Hoboken, and I actually live in Jersey City. So I'm
close, Barry, close.
So very close. But no, it is not autobiographical. Though it is taken from the annals of life, or my life, I suppose, in a way. And so the OGGs in Hoboken, OGGs in this case stand for the old gay guys in Hoboken, or as I prefer, the old gangsta gays in Hoboken.
Very Jersey.
Yeah, so it's about a wonderful, long time gay married couple living in Hoboken. We have a very active social life. They donate to the right charities. They do all the events. They're God's love we deliver. They're doing the whole thing. But they also have a very active and happy sex life in their 60s. And part of that involves entertaining a young 20-something lad who's a writer from Columbia University who has been a regular, shows up at their place every other Thursday, and he has been showing up for the last year or so until he suddenly ghosts them. He disappears, as the young kids often do. He vanishes off the internet. And one fine day, as things will happen in the theater, our lead character, Robert, learns from a friend of his that there's a popular podcast that's gone viral called Wednesday's Boy, about a young writer in New York from Columbia and his sexual adventures with these two old gay guys in Hoboken. And it's gone viral, and what's even crazier is it's about to become a Netflix series, or possibly. And as they say in the theater, mayhem ensues. So it's really about a lovely couple of people, like many of us of a certain generation, who've gone on through life without the internet and without this sort of world that's going on out there that we think doesn't really have this huge impact on our lives until it suddenly does. As opposed to young people whose lives are mostly lived on the internet in many ways. And so it's a kind of an intergenerational comedy of manners set in the queer community that I think everybody can identify with. And very delightful play in it.
It is a trip. What a trip of a premise. Mark, you are not only the director, but you are like literally the artistic director as well.
I am literally the artistic director. Yeah.
It's like the hair. He's not only a client, he's the president. Like, he is not only the director of this, he's the artistic director of the whole shebang. So for you get you've been running this organization since 2000. You've been at it since 2002. You guys have had literally almost hundreds of shows that you have put up on stages, and you've been doing this for quite a moment. Why did Barry script? Why did you say, this is the fundraiser? Let's talk about this couple and their third wheel and the escapades. What about, I know it sounds salacious, but I know it's funny and it's so well written. Why, Mark, was this the show for this year?
Well, a couple of reasons. First of all, we're doing a play that Barry wrote called Our House in February. And I thought this, then I saw this script and I'm like, this is great because it's going to give audiences a chance to like meet Barry and Barry's work. And also what appealed to me about it was the immediacy of it, the intergenerational play of it, in that, you know, we're, as you mentioned, we've been around for a little bit. The organization is 50 years old. I've been running it for 25, 23, something like that. So it's very much a conversation. I'm very aware of what my generation thinks and looks at, and that world, and I'm a teacher also, so I'm sort of hit by younger generations and what their needs are, what their conflicts are, what they find funny, what they don't find funny, what they think is important, and that clash, I think, is well, makes for some really good theater and some really funny comedy. That's what we're going for in this. It sort of jumped off the page at me, and I thought, yeah, this would be a great way to open a lot of doors and have a good time.
TOSOSNYC.org is the website that you can get all the information and all of the information available, and you could get tickets for less than $100 or less to go to a fancy fundraising gala extravaganza performance for sure. For you, Barry, when you heard that you were going to get to do this, how did it feel that you got to partner with this, or not on only one piece, but now two Barry works get to be done here?
Well, yeah. There's a bit of a backstory in my relationship with TOSOS that is, I think, it's really wonderful. When I was doing my graduate work in theater at the City University, Graduate Center, City University, I did work on the Cafe Chino, which, as a theater aficionados will know, is the birthplace of off Broadway, a place that gave us writers like John Guare and Lanford Wilson and Irene Maria Fornes, Sam Shepard. I'm going to miss 10 names out of that. One of those names, who was at the very beginning of this, was Doric Wilson. Doric Wilson, who was at the Stonewall riots. He marched in the first parade. He was part of the Gay Liberation Front. He was also the person who wrote the first play about Stonewall. He was the founder in 1974 of TOSOS, and I had the great honor of interviewing him over several days about the Chino and about his work at the Gay Liberation Front and Theater Rhinoceros and other queer theater groups, we used to call the Purple Circuit, groups of small theater companies all around the country that did plays that reflected LGBTQ lives for them, about them, by them, near them, often in bars, in the backs of bookstores, wherever they could do it. Doric was a part of all that, and I remembered this from my graduate work. And funny enough, COVID happens. I finally get back to saying, well, finally, I'm going to finish these plays I've always wanted to write. And one of them was an LGBTQ play, Our House. And I thought, well, what can I do with this? This is the worst time to be in the theater right now, as theaters are shutting down, COVID. There's, we're losing places for young playwrights or any playwright to work. But I remember TOSOS, and I said, well, Doric has passed, but I'm going to go down to their fundraising party, and I've got some tapes of Doric, and I'm going to offer myself and say, oh, here's these tapes of Doric Wilson for your archives, but also I've got this LGBTQ play that I love. Would you take a look at it? And when I walked in, I knowing only, I think, one name of somebody at the company, I was just overwhelmed by the warmth and the friendliness of not only a queer environment, but a professional theater environment, how inviting they all were. And I buckled up, and said, okay, here's my play. What do you think? And they did it as a reading about 2 years ago. It was very successful, also directed by Mark. And it's been just a really glorious opportunity that TOSOS has given me. And that's how those things sort of came about. So I'm just could not be more pleased in this time. As I said, we're losing so many places and opportunities for young emerging playwrights out there. TOSOS, and especially gay playwrights, is even harder, when you're trying to mainstream anything. So I'm so thankful that TOSOS was there at the right time, and I was able to get in and have them look at a play. And I encourage any young playwright, any playwright who has a LGBTQ play that's reflective of that experience and that life in America, send your materials to TOSOS. You'll find an open audience and a home for that there.
Perfect. Mark, for you, where is the money going to go for this fundraiser? So if we give you our $100, what do you turn around and do as artistic director with what we donate?
It's funding the 2026 season. First and foremost, we've got Barry's show coming up in February, and we're producing another play in September, Burning Leaves by Tom Rowan. And so the money will go directly into those productions.
That's super exciting. So, Mark, for you, tell us a little bit also about the cast of this reading. And you have a lot of TOSOS alumni and old and new. Tell us a little bit about who you're going to have up on stage.
Yeah, well, we decided to sort of, okay, as I've said, I've been running this company for a little while and have established a sort of stable of actors, and the people who've been supporting us from the beginning come back and they kind of like to see the stars, of this group. As we've grown, particularly since 2017, and reached out to new audiences and done different sorts of plays, we have been reaching out and bringing in new actors and new talent. So the people that our core people have sort of drifted away into more managerial spots. I thought, well, since this is a fundraiser, let's appeal to both our core audience by bringing back our stable and reaching out to a new audience with subject matter and the people that we've met over the years. So Christopher Borg, who's worked with Charles Bush and has worked with me a bunch of times, has worked all over the place. He's one of our leading actors. Chris Weichel, who's primarily a playwright for us now, is co-starring with him. Chris Anderson, who's our board president, who I've directed a lot of times. Jamie Heinlein, who is the lead of our big production last year of Pride House, is in it as well. We've got a special guest star spot of Pissy Miles, who starred in our production of Dork's play Forever After a couple of years ago. So we're kind of bringing back the heavy hitters and some new talent that we've met along the way. There's a young poet, Sean Patrick Mulroy, yeah, who I met at the poetry evening we did a couple of months ago, who's got a super important role in this. So we're sort of blending, I hate to use the word old, let me say favorites with newcomers. So it's a nice sort of shuffle in there.
Yeah, I couldn't be more excited about the cast Mark was able to put together. I've seen most of those people perform and have loved seeing their work. And it said Sean Patrick Mulroy actually made me kind of crush on gay poetry, which I said, honestly, to me, gay poetry really wasn't much of an interest past a few dirty limericks. So he really caught my attention, you might say.
Great. He's great.
Going to be, I think, very exciting to see in the show. I'm so happy to have him.
So you're saying he does more than hickory dickory dock jokes?
Yeah. Or there was a young man from Nantucket, sort of.
Touche. So for you, Barry, when you get to see this, is the intention that hopefully one day soon in future seasons here, or we're going to see this show a full stage production?
Well, yeah. Now, what I love about TOSOS, and I totally agree, is that TOSOS Productions are TOSOS Productions. They are small scale productions, but this is a company that punches way above their weight. And you're thinking about what you'll usually see in an off Broadway production. But yes, I have big hopes for both OGGs and my play Our House. OGGs in Hoboken, I think, should be like the next gay date play for the next 20 years. I'm ready to set the OGGs in Manchester, OGGs in Schaumburg. We can set it down in every city possible. It's a fun romp. It's kind of a roller coaster of a little story. And I think it's very identifiable, whether you're gay or straight. I think people will get this world of the internet and how that suddenly is changing everything. In particular, in the way it has changed our relationship between generations. It's especially powerful in the gay community. I always say, because I always say that gay generation is about 5 years. You talk to somebody 5 years younger than you, and you're like, what the hell's changed? It's like, they're going to throw me out of my high school for being gay, but 5 years later they're signing you up for a gay pen pal service. 5 years after that, they're like, well, who are you taking to prom? It's been such a fast change for us in our life. But the biggest one, of course, has to be the internet, right? This has changed everything for all people, but especially, I think, in the gay community. So it was an interesting thing to sort of write about and play with. And I thought, TOSOS is sort of the perfect environment to sort of get this and then get it out to a bigger audience. But yeah, I would love to see, I'm hoping to interest some producers and agents that'll come down to really look at this thing to help me out with this. I always fantasize, there's this hot daddy actor called Jim Newman, who's in Mamma Mia right now, that a union strike happens. It's like, I want him to come down and see the show because I think he would be a dream. Because, gay life doesn't end after 29. I think that's ridiculous. And there are a lot of us out there that are ready to prove that. And I think OGGs does.
Do you want me to text Jim Newman, Barry? I know Jim.
Text him away. I follow him on Instagram, and I've been trying to figure out how in the world, like I said, I get him an invitation, but he should come down because I think he's a riot.
I am going to talk to Jim after this. I'm going to figure this out for you, Barry. Barry. Mark, he comes to my show. He'll come to your show.
Oh, excellent.
Amazing.
Mark, for you, being a theater company that is LGBTQIA plus, etc., the A as an ally means that you don't have to be gay or identifying as queer to come and support this theater company. How important is it that you allies and people across the rainbow flag of it all are out and supporting your works?
Crucial, because it's one thing to be a theater club, and it's another thing to be a theater company. Yeah. Theater club does plays for each other, and a theater company does plays for everybody or anybody who wants to come in. It's allies are absolutely crucial because it's not I'm looking to create a community, not a war, not a revolution, not us against them. We're all sort of in this together.
I think this is going to be such a fun, fabulous night. While you guys have been talking, I'm married. My husband and I, we are old and boring. I mean, this couple is way. I mean, and I can't even bring this up to my husband because he'll say that the 20-something-year-old will be buried underneath the garage. We're not open and fun in that way. But the idea that your sex life and your personal life could be on Netflix, or that if you have this little fun dalliance secret in your life, that it could be out when you're about to move forward in your career, and it could become, ooh, what are you going to do? And should you be ashamed of it? Should you own it? Should you just say, I am what I am? Should you run and hide? I want to know what they do.
Yeah, well, I like to think the show is very, it is, hardly salacious, but it's a very sex positive
very
show. Since these are men in their 60s who definitely have a happy, loving sex life. They have a lovely marriage. They've been together for 30-something some years. There is an autobiographical part that would also relate to me. But I think we're in our 35th year, my husband and I, in Jersey City. I always say I was part of the whole, activism stuff in both from ACT UP and then later on, especially on gay marriage, going down and fighting about that when the first Defense of Marriage Act was passed. And I remember there was always a lot of things that people are saying, oh, well, you don't need this. It's like, well, a lot of you gay people don't think marriage is good. It's all that heteronormativity stuff. And aren't you just imitating this? And I kept saying this is going to be the most radical change possible when this right is given to us, whether we use it or not. And then people say, well, but aren't you just imitating straight people then? And it's like, well, no. I said the big impact on marriage is going to be what we end up bringing to the table to everybody. And I do think the impact on marriage that gay people often bring, again, lesbian people, are often questions of monogamy and all these other issues. I think you ask around with a lot of your gay friends, you may be surprised how many really well-established couples that adore each other have special guest night every now and then. I think it's a little more common, and maybe not, but at least it's there. And the point is that the relationship is something else, right? It's this deeper, loving connection of house and home and family and kids these days, all these things that make up marriage. And that's kind of overall, if there's a message that comes out of OGGs, is that, with all this stuff going on, the trauma that happens to them, with their lives are suddenly put on the internet, it really is about the story they write for themselves, the story that they've made up and made for themselves that counts. And that's what brings them happiness, and they survive it. They get through all this stuff and are quite content at the end. It's like everybody ends happily in this play. I like a happy ending.
So I love that as well. So I'm really excited for people to check it out. It sounds adorable, and I love how positive it is and how it is going to make us be entertained, but tell us a fun message. Do you live your best life? You only live once.
Right.
TOSOSNYC.org is the spot to be. And look, if you reach out to Mark on a Thursday or Barry on a Thursday and they say they're busy, that's their business. I don't know whatever you all do, it works for me. Go on with your bad selves. Get your ticket. I got to call Jim Newman. Everybody get your tickets. Make sure that you support this and their entire season. Make sure you head over to their website and support this theater going on in New York City. Congratulations to you, Barry. Congratulations,
Thank
you.
you.
Congratulations,
Thank you, Robert.
to all that you see you again real soon.
See you.
Bye-bye.